Our journey through life is profoundly influenced by the companions we choose. Surrounding ourselves with individuals who uplift and inspire us is essential to becoming the best version of ourselves. Yet, distinguishing between genuine connections and false relationships can feel like navigating a mirage in a vast desert of human interactions. In a landscape filled with superficial encounters and hidden agendas, recognizing authentic care requires both keen intuition and sharp perception. It's easy to be overly trusting of others' inherent goodness, only to realize we have unwittingly become tools in their schemes. Just as a skilled gardener knows how to differentiate between nurturing plants and those that sap the soil's vitality, we must learn to identify true allies and emotional parasites in our lives. In this discussion, we will uncover subtle signs and patterns that reveal the hidden motivations behind insincere gestures and empty promises. If you're seeking personal growth, this exploration will provide valuable insights for cultivating more authentic and fulfilling relationships. I encourage you to stay with us until the end of this video, as each segment carries its own significance. Your support is vital, so please remember to like and subscribe to our channel. 1. Failure to fulfill promises. The act of making and breaking promises mirrors a theatrical performance where words assume the role of actors while actions remain the neglected script. Some individuals have become adept at the art of verbal persuasion, crafting vivid portrayals of commitment and allegiance. Yet, often their words lack the substance of tangible action. They weave expectations with the finesse of an artist. Yet when the moment arrives to transform these envisioned dreams into reality, they falter, exposing the hollowness of their assurances. In such relationships, a discernible pattern emerges. When their support is most crucial, when their promises are due for realization, these individuals frequently evaporate, leaving behind a chasm of disappointment and disenchantment. This absence in times of need transcends mere betrayal of trust. It serves as a clear indicator of their true motivations. Their promises act as instruments of manipulation, intended to extract value, trust, or support, devoid of any intention to reciprocate. Thus, the failure to fulfill promises becomes a vital litmus test. It distinguishes those who regard relationships as a reciprocal exchange of mutual respect and support from those who perceive them solely as vehicles for personal gain. For those left in the lurch, the experience is often a painful yet invaluable lesson. Not all promises are constructed on the bedrock of honesty and integrity. Therefore, the failure to keep promises stands as a pivotal behavior to observe in the quest to identify individuals who may seek to exploit others. It is a behavior that speaks louder than the most eloquent discourse, revealing a person's true character and intent. In discerning this pattern, one can adeptly navigate the intricate landscape of human relationships, safeguarding both trust and emotional investment. Individuals who habitually utilize others as mere stepping stones for personal advancement are skilled in the art of wielding diminutive remarks as instruments of erosion, systematically undermining self-esteem, confidence, and a sense of self-worth in their targets. These comments, often cloaked in the guise of humor or light-hearted banter, serve as barbed hooks intended to diminish rather than elevate. They may trivialize your successes, mock your aspirations, or exhibit disinterest in your struggles and challenges. Such behavior resembles a subtle form of psychological warfare, where the deliberate undervaluation of your achievements fosters an imbalance in the relationship. It is a calculated strategy to keep you ensnared in self-doubt and lowered self-esteem, rendering you more vulnerable to manipulation and control. In the eyes of these individuals, your diminished self-worth enhances their own status, reinforcing their position of dominance. Moreover, these belittling remarks frequently reflect their own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. By diminishing others, they attempt to conceal their vulnerabilities while projecting a facade of superiority. This pattern is a clear indicator of their inability to engage in healthy, supportive, and reciprocal relationships. Recognizing and understanding this behavior is vital. It allows you to see through the veneer of superficial charm that such individuals often present, and to comprehend the toxic dynamics at play. This awareness serves as a prompt to either confront the behavior directly, establishing firm boundaries, or to distance yourself from the detrimental environment. This one-sidedness can manifest in various dimensions of a relationship: financial, emotional, or practical. Financially, the user may frequently borrow money or resources, promising repayment or reciprocity that seldom materializes. Emotionally, they may lean heavily on you for support, validation, and attention, yet provide little in return when the roles are reversed. Practically, they could habitually request favors or assistance, only to be conspicuously absent when you require help. Such dynamics resemble a parasitic relationship in nature, where one organism derives benefit at the expense of another. The user, akin to a parasite, extracts emotional, financial, or practical support without offering equal contribution to the well-being of their counterpart. Over time, this imbalance can deplete the giver's resources, whether emotional, financial, or temporal, leaving them drained and unfulfilled. The motivations behind such unilateral benefits often stem from profound self-centeredness and a lack of empathy. The user tends to view relationships through a transactional lens, evaluating 2. Disregard for your needs or feelings. This pattern of behavior, characterized by a consistent neglect of your emotional landscape, resembles tending to a garden where only one flower is allowed to bloom while the others languish in neglect. In such dynamics, the user's needs and desires are prioritized, while yours are sidelined or dismissed entirely. Their words and actions become the shears that trim away at your emotional well-being, leaving you feeling undervalued and invisible within the relationship. This disregard can manifest in various forms, often becoming evident when they routinely overlook your emotional needs, failing to provide support or understanding during your moments of vulnerability. This disregard may manifest in their indifference to your opinions and choices, where your voice is overshadowed by their dominant narrative. They might neglect to acknowledge your achievements, or worse, trivialize your struggles, making light of the burdens that weigh heavily on you. Such behavior transcends mere insensitivity. It is a calculated neglect, a strategy employed to maintain superiority within the relationship. By invalidating your feelings and needs, the user creates an environment that erodes your self-worth, rendering you more susceptible to their influence and control. This form of emotional manipulation is executed subtly, yet leaves a profound impact. The dynamic is particularly insidious, striking at the very essence of your emotional well-being. The fundamental human need to be heard, understood, and valued becomes compromised. When these needs are consistently ignored, it can lead to diminished self-esteem and a pervasive sense of isolation, even within an ostensibly active relationship. To navigate these treacherous waters, it is imperative to recognize the signs of emotional neglect. Such awareness serves as a beacon, guiding you away from relationships that jeopardize your emotional health. It empowers you to seek connections founded on reciprocity, respect, and mutual care. Initially, this manipulation often presents itself insidiously, with the manipulator adopting a facade of care and attentiveness. However, this veneer swiftly transforms into a mechanism that induces anxiety, inadequacy, or guilt in their target. They become adept at pressing emotional buttons, offering praise to elevate you when it suits their purpose, only to follow with sharp criticism or undermining comments that foster self-doubt and dependency. Imagine the analogy of a gardener tending to a delicate plant. A nurturing gardener provides the right balance of water and sunlight, fostering growth and vitality. In contrast, the emotional manipulator resembles a negligent gardener, alternating between overwatering and allowing the plant to wither from drought. They employ emotional extremes to destabilize, creating an atmosphere where the target becomes emotionally dependent, perpetually seeking the manipulator's approval to regain that initial sense of warmth. This manipulation targets the very core of one's emotional existence. The manipulator may trivialize your accomplishments or magnify your failures, ensuring that you remain ensnared in a state of self-doubt. They might distort situations to instill guilt for normal actions, deftly shifting blame to ensure that you are perpetually the one apologizing. In relationships steeped in emotional manipulation, the balance of power is invariably skewed. The manipulator wields control, determining when to dispense affection and when to withhold it, keeping their target in a state of uncertainty. This dynamic is devoid of mutual growth or support. It primarily serves to fulfill the manipulator's needs at the expense of the other's emotional health. Identifying emotional manipulation necessitates a vigilant awareness of these dynamics, requiring you to recognize the patterns of interaction that consistently toy with your feelings. It invites introspection to gauge how these interactions affect your sense of self and emotional well-being. Envision a tree standing proudly in a lush forest. Ideally, it receives support from surrounding trees and undergrowth, gaining nourishment, shelter, and the companionship of a thriving ecosystem. In stark contrast, picture a solitary tree in a barren landscape, bereft of flora to provide support or protection. This is reminiscent of being in a relationship with someone who possesses no genuine interest in your well-being. You stand isolated, unsupported, your branches reaching out for camaraderie that never materializes. In such relationships, your goals, projects, and challenges are met with apathy or mere token gestures of support. This individual may nod in agreement with your plans, offer a perfunctory good luck, or even express verbal support, yet their actions, or lack thereof, speak volumes. When it comes to providing tangible assistance, meaningful advice, or simply being a listening ear during difficult times, their presence is strikingly absent. Any help they do offer tends to be superficial, more about maintaining appearances than providing genuine support, and often dissipates just when it is needed most. The underlying reason for this absence of authentic support lies in their self-interest. Your successes or failures, your challenges, are relevant to them only insofar as they impact their own goals. They perceive relationships through a transactional lens, calculating emotional investment based on potential personal gains. This perspective fosters an imbalance where one party continually gives, whether through effort, care, or resources, while the other simply takes, often leaving the giver feeling undervalued and overlooked. Recognizing this lack of genuine support is essential for understanding the nature of your relationship with such individuals. It calls for an honest evaluation of the reciprocity present in your interactions. Identifying and addressing this absence of support is crucial for ensuring that you invest your time and energy in nurturing reciprocal relationships that genuinely uplift you. Picture a game of chess where every move is calculated not merely to advance one's position, but to systematically undermine the opponent. In much the same way, a person who seeks to exploit you will often regard your relationship as a strategic contest. Each of your achievements, decisions, or challenges becomes a battleground for them to assert superiority. Whether they overshadow your professional successes, one-up your personal accomplishments, or subtly undermine your choices, their actions are propelled by a need to maintain an upper hand in this self-imposed competition. This relentless rivalry manifests in various ways. In professional settings, they might strive to outshine you during meetings or take credit for your ideas. In personal relationships, they could belittle your experiences or achievements, often juxtaposing them with their own to appear more significant. Even in casual conversations, there's a palpable undercurrent of competition as they attempt to assert themselves as better, smarter, or more successful. At the root of this behavior lies a profound insecurity and a distorted sense of self-worth, wherein their value is not measured by their own merits, but by being superior to others. This mindset turns every interaction into a zero-sum game. For them to succeed, you must inevitably lose. It fosters an environment where mutual growth is eclipsed by the desire to overshadow and outdo. Engaging with someone who embodies constant competition can be emotionally draining. It cultivates an atmosphere of perpetual tension, where genuine collaboration or support is supplanted by rivalry. Your successes are not celebrated, rather, they are perceived as challenges to their dominance. Your struggles are met with a lack of empathy, viewed instead as opportunities for them to gain an advantage. Recognizing and understanding this pattern is vital. It assists in setting boundaries and recalibrating the relationship, if feasible, toward a healthier, more collaborative dynamic. It necessitates the realization that the foundation of any constructive relationship rests upon mutual respect and support, not an incessant race for superiority. This behavior is akin to a tree that provides shade only when the sun shines gently, but recedes when storm clouds gather. In prosperous times when circumstances are favorable, they are present, basking in the shared light and perhaps reaping the benefits of the relationship. However, when challenges arise and support is most crucial, their presence diminishes, leaving you to navigate the storm alone. Such individuals treat relationships as conveniences, a means to an end, where their involvement is weighed against potential personal benefit. Their support is often superficial, extended solely when it aligns with their interests or when there is something to gain. In critical moments, be it during a personal crisis, a professional setback, or emotional upheaval, their absence becomes starkly evident. It is precisely during these times, when genuine support and empathy are most needed, that their true priorities and lack of commitment to the relationship are brought into sharp relief. The impact of such behavior on the person who feels let down can be profound, breeding a sense of betrayal and disillusionment that chips away at the trust and reliability once considered foundational to the relationship. This experience raises fundamental questions about the nature of the bond, often prompting a reassessment of the individual's role and value in one's life. Understanding this pattern is crucial for recognizing the essence of the relationship and the other person's true intentions. It necessitates acknowledging that consistent support, both in moments of joy and adversity, is a cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. The realization that someone is absent during your critical times acts as a vital litmus test, enabling you to distinguish between those genuinely invested in your well-being and those who engage in the relationship solely for their own gain. 3. Lack of reciprocity. Imagine a seesaw where one side bears the weight of efforts, sacrifices, and commitments, while the other side remains featherlight, devoid of equivalent contributions. This image aptly encapsulates a relationship lacking reciprocity. In such dynamics, you find yourself consistently investing time, energy, and emotions, striving to nurture and sustain the bond. Conversely, the other person's contributions are minimal, often tokenistic or entirely absent. This disparity in effort may manifest in various ways. You might always be the one initiating communication and making plans, while their responses are lukewarm or non-committal. You may provide continuous support and understanding, yet receive little empathy or assistance in return when you need it. Even in moments of vulnerability, you may find yourself open and forthcoming, while they remain guarded or disinterested. The reasons behind this lack of reciprocity often stem from a self-centric approach to relationships. For such individuals, the relationship is a convenience, a resource to be tapped into as needed, devoid of the intention for meaningful exchange. Their involvement is calculated, contingent upon personal benefit, often disregarding the needs and feelings of others. This perspective stands in stark contrast to the essence of healthy relationships, which flourish on mutual give and take, shared experiences, and a balanced investment of emotional labor. Recognizing the absence of reciprocity requires mindful observation of the relationship's dynamics. It involves introspective questioning. Are the efforts to sustain and grow the connection mutually shared or disproportionately shouldered by you? It calls for an honest assessment of whether the relationship feels enriching or draining, equitable or skewed. 4. Gossip and breach of trust. This behavior can be likened to a double-edged sword. On one edge, the act of gossiping about others creates a false sense of camaraderie and trust, making it seem as though they are confiding in you, drawing you into an exclusive circle of trust. However, the other edge of the sword is far more sinister. It entails the betrayal of your trust, where the intimate or sensitive information you shared in confidence becomes fodder for their gossip with others. This betrayal is not merely a violation of trust, it is a strategic maneuver to erode your sense of security and privacy within the relationship. Such conduct reveals a calculated disregard for the sanctity of personal information and a blatant disrespect for the boundaries of confidentiality. The user employs gossip as a tool for social maneuvering, often positioning themselves as a nexus of information, leveraging the insights gleaned from others to enhance their standing. This behavior underscores their self-serving motives and lack of genuine respect for the bonds they purport to value. By disseminating and distorting information, they aim to manipulate perceptions, forge alliances, or even sow discord, all for their personal gain. This behavior illustrates a utilitarian approach to relationships, where individuals are viewed as instruments to achieve an end, and confidential information is treated as currency to be traded. The repercussions of such actions on the victim are multifaceted. This dynamic cultivates an environment of mistrust and insecurity, undermining the very foundation of what could have been a supportive and trustworthy relationship. The misuse of personal information can lead to significant social and emotional fallout, damaging reputations, relationships, and self-esteem. Identifying this pattern of behavior is essential for safeguarding oneself against relational predators. It necessitates vigilance regarding how they speak of others in their absence, and caution in sharing personal information with them. Observing their respect for confidentiality and their tendency to engage in gossip can offer valuable insights into their character and intentions. Recognizing and addressing this pattern is fundamental to preserving one's dignity and ensuring that personal boundaries are upheld in all relationships. 5. Selective availability. In this dynamic, your availability contrasts sharply with their elusive presence. You are consistently ready to lend an ear, extend a hand, or offer support, while your emotions, time, and resources are readily accessible to them. Conversely, the other person's availability is as rare as a comet in the night sky, occasional, unpredictable, and always dictated by their terms. This discrepancy in availability is not merely a reflection of busy schedules or conflicting priorities. It represents a deliberate choice and strategic stance adopted by the user. Their unavailability serves a dual purpose. It maintains a convenient distance for them while placing them in a position of control. By limiting their availability, they create a dynamic that leaves you yearning for more, often feeling grateful for any morsel of attention or time they choose to dispense. In such relationships, your attempts to connect or engage are frequently met with excuses, delays, or outright neglect. Your texts may go unanswered, your calls unreturned, and your needs disregarded. When they do choose to engage, it typically aligns with their needs or agenda, transforming the relationship into a one-way street where you are relegated to the role of a convenience rather than a valued partner. The emotional toll of this pattern can be significant, breeding feelings of inadequacy as you begin to question the value of your contributions and your worth in the eyes of the other person. It engenders an undercurrent of frustration and resentment, rooted in the realization that your efforts and availability are not reciprocated. Recognizing the pattern of selective availability is crucial, as it involves stepping back and objectively assessing the balance of effort and availability within the relationship. It calls for the understanding that healthy relationships are founded on mutual respect, effort, and presence. 6. Making you feel guilty. Imagine guilt as a puppeteer's string, tugging at the conscience of the benevolent, leading them down paths they might not willingly choose. The individual seeking to exploit you knows how to manipulate these strings, appealing to your sense of responsibility, empathy, or fairness. They may frame requests in a manner that suggests refusing would render you uncaring or selfish. Alternatively, they might remind you of past favors or incidents, implying an unspoken debt that you are now obligated to repay. This tactic of inducing guilt is often subtle and insidious. It commences with small favors or concessions, gradually escalating to more significant demands. Over time, your boundaries erode, and your ability to refuse diminishes, leaving you ensnared in a cycle of guilt and compliance. In these dynamics, the other person's needs and desires take precedence, while your own are sidelined or entirely dismissed. The effectiveness of this tactic lies in its ability to exploit a fundamental aspect of human nature, the desire to be perceived as good, helpful, and caring. By invoking guilt, the user distorts these virtues, transforming them into levers of control. You may find yourself acting not out of genuine desire or mutual respect, but from a sense of imposed obligation, often leading to feelings of resentment or emotional drain. Recognizing when someone is using guilt as a manipulative tool is essential for preserving the integrity of your personal boundaries and emotional well-being. It requires mindfulness of the emotional currents in your interactions, enabling you to distinguish between authentic requests for help and attempts to exploit your goodwill. This awareness also necessitates the courage to question the underlying motivations behind such requests and to assert your right to decline without succumbing to guilt. Identifying and addressing this manipulative tactic is vital for cultivating healthier relationships founded on mutual respect, genuine care, and free choice, rather than obligation and guilt. 7. Lack of personal interest. Imagine a conversation as a bustling two-way street, alive with the flow of thoughts, experiences, and emotions exchanged back and forth. In a healthy relationship, this thoroughfare thrives on mutual interest and care. However, when engaging with someone who seeks to exploit you, this street transforms into a one-way lane. Their stories and experiences dominate the conversation, while any attempts to redirect the dialogue towards your life are often met with detours or abrupt dead ends. This lack of personal interest manifests in various ways. Conversations with such individuals often resemble monologues, masquerading as dialogues. They eagerly dive into the minutiae of their daily lives, their challenges and triumphs, expecting your full attention and empathy. Yet, when the spotlight shifts to you, their interest noticeably wanes. You might encounter perfunctory nods, abrupt subject changes, or visible impatience. Your problems and experiences, no matter how significant, barely register on their radar of concern. This behavior is not simply a matter of social etiquette or conversational skills. It serves as a deliberate reflection of their priorities and intentions. By monopolizing the conversation and disregarding your narratives, they create a dynamic where their needs, opinions, and life take precedence. This subtle form of egocentrism positions the relationship around their axis, relegating you to the role of an audience or sounding board. The impact of such interactions can be profoundly disheartening, leading to feelings of insignificance and frustration as the fundamental human need for recognition and understanding remains unmet. Over time, this imbalance can erode the relationship's foundation, leaving you feeling more like an accessory to their life than an equal partner. Recognizing this lack of personal interest is crucial. It involves being aware of the dynamics of your interactions and acknowledging the emotional toll these one-sided conversations have on you. It calls for an evaluation of whether the relationship is mutually enriching or draining. Identifying this imbalance paves the way for seeking more reciprocal and fulfilling connections, where your stories and experiences are valued and respected as much as theirs. 8. Superficial closeness. This phenomenon can be likened to the shimmering surface of a lake. While it reflects an image of depth and substance, a closer inspection reveals a lack of profundity. In such interactions, individuals may mimic the behaviors of a close friend or a committed partner. They engage in frequent communication, share laughter, and partake in what appears to be intimate conversations. However, beneath this veneer lies a superficiality that fails to cultivate a genuine bond. The interactions may feel pleasant, but lack the emotional resonance that defines true intimacy. This shallow closeness creates an illusion of connection, leaving one feeling unfulfilled and longing for deeper engagement. However, this illusion of closeness never transcends into genuine depth. The absence of authentic commitment manifests in various ways. You may notice that while they are quick to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, they are equally quick to distance themselves when effort or sacrifice is required on their part. In times of need, their support is often flimsy or altogether non-existent. They may revel in the joys and celebrations, yet are conspicuously absent during moments of struggle or vulnerability. Furthermore, this superficial closeness frequently lacks the essential elements of trust and reliability that underpin authentic relationships. Plans may be made only to be casually broken, and promises are given but seldom honored. Their engagement in the relationship tends to be dictated by their convenience and self-interest. The motive behind such behavior is often to maintain a network of contacts that can be called upon when necessary, without investing in the emotional labor that true relationships demand. It's a strategy of keeping people close enough for utility, yet far enough to avoid reciprocal commitment. In essence, it serves as a form of emotional hedging, reaping the rewards of closeness while evading the risks of genuine attachment or responsibility. Recognizing superficial closeness is vital for understanding the dynamics at play within a relationship. It involves observing the patterns of interaction and questioning whether the perceived intimacy aligns with actions indicative of genuine commitment and shared vulnerability. It's about discerning whether the relationship is balanced in emotional investment or disproportionately skewed towards serving their needs. This relationship is characterized by a facade of intimacy, devoid of the foundation of true commitment and mutual growth. Identifying this pattern empowers you to seek and nurture connections rooted in authenticity, reciprocity, and real emotional depth. 9. Persistent lack of respect. This behavior extends beyond an occasional lapse in judgment or a fleeting slip of the tongue in heated moments. It represents a continuous thread woven into the fabric of the relationship, manifesting in various forms, whether through belittling comments, dismissive attitudes, or outright disregard for your feelings and boundaries. This lack of respect can be subtle, resembling a series of small cuts, or overt, akin to a glaring wound to one's dignity. Imagine a garden where respect serves as the nourishment that allows relationships to flourish. In its absence, the landscape becomes barren, unable to sustain healthy growth. In such a scenario, every attempt at conversation or connection transforms into a path fraught with the thorns of contempt and disregard. The individual exhibiting this lack of respect employs it as a tool, whether consciously or unconsciously, to assert dominance or control within the relationship. It serves to diminish the other person, maintaining an upper hand in a dynamic where equality and mutual regard should prevail. This consistent disrespect deeply undermines the foundation of the relationship. When disagreements arise, rather than resolving them with understanding and empathy, they devolve into battlefields with little regard for emotional casualties. The normal ebb and flow of relationship dynamics is disrupted, making it difficult, if not impossible, to return to a state of normalcy and mutual respect. Understanding and recognizing this pattern of persistent disrespect is essential. It requires looking beyond isolated incidents to discern the broader behavioral patterns at play. Respect is not solely about grand gestures. It resides in daily interactions, small acknowledgments, and the manner in which disagreements are approached. In conclusion, a persistent lack of respect in a relationship is a significant indicator that one views you not as an equal partner, but as a means to an end. This disregard for your feelings and dignity exposes a fundamentally unbalanced and unhealthy relationship. Identifying this trait is crucial for anyone who values their self-respect and seeks relationships grounded in mutual respect and equality. Thank you for watching the video. If you've made it to the end, we invite you to share your thoughts and wisdom in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. See you soon.